Like a lion in the Zion, iron like a lion in the Zion.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Mazes, okay, once more speaking to us. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening once more. Just a quick one. Let me play that again for many of you who didn't basically get the chance to watch this clip. Let me play that again.
Like a lion in the Zion, iron like a lion in the Zion.
Yeah, good evening once more. This is like a lion in the Zion. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. That was Dumeje, as many of you will know. And before I start to know where you are watching me from, and also to have the conversation I basically prepared for this evening, I must first of all apologize for the cancellation of the interview scheduled for earlier today with barrister Ifeanyi Ejo for the lead counsel to Mazen Kanu and the IPOP. So there were some developments. Basically, he went to see Mazen Kanu, but eventually everything turned out a little bit late. And by the time he rang me, I think we agreed that it's going to be better to move that then to tomorrow. And in moving that to tomorrow, what it means, join me 5 p.m. tomorrow evening here, Nigerian time. Everything on this platform, please. Anytime if we forget to put Nigerian time, know that what we mean is Nigerian time. Okay, so we are working on eventually splitting Injinja Media to local and international. So, something is cooking. Yeah. So, are you guys so having said that, Barry Stephanie Ejiofor will be joining me tomorrow, and tomorrow I hope to ask him deeper and deeper questions regarding the trial so far, his conversation with Mazen Nandekano today, and his conclusion of his conversation that started today that will be concluded tomorrow. He will be seeing him tomorrow morning, so that will mean you have to endeavor and tell others as well. Tell on the Adon to join me here tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Is hold no bear. Like I already hinted him, we will be talking about the Malami's comment, what Malami said, and the charges against him, and then we will also look at the sit at home where there appears to be serious confusion now when IPOP said there is no sit at home, yet people are sitting at home. And with some element of enforcement that people do not, no one could actually say for clear where that enforcement is coming from. Now, at the same time, I want to extract his views on the no election and the impending shutdown for 3 days has been rumored. Again, I say rumored, being cautious there, that conversation must, and it's still under the realm of rumor. That is still yet not confirmed. Now, I want every one of us to join me tomorrow. And again, if you're joining me this evening for the first time, kindly do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. After doing that, please give this stream a like. Obviously, like I said to us the other time, both on the YouTube and on the on Facebook, there appears to be a viewership suppression. So the only way you can help me, help us to also ensure that this viewership is not suppressed, is to share and like. No, because once you keep doing that, once you keep liking, then others would actually see what you like and what you are watching. It appears in the comment section, some people are basically spamming that up. Somebody talking about how a babalawo healed him of HIV or whatever. Come on, people, get serious. That's sick. Okay, so John says he's watching the from okay, yes, Petersburg, Pennsylvania, USA. So good evening once more, everyone. Now, this evening I would want to start with, as the many of you, as you have seen it, the topic. One of the topic that really got me is where Nigeria is not only a crime scene. Nigeria is also a joke because there are things you hear. You think, in which planet are we actually existing? There is this. Um, okay, I'll let us watch it. As the topic suggests, it says Tinubu fought corruption in Lagos State. So I don't know. Without prejudice, okay, maybe he did. I don't know, but we'll get into the details. But there is one that is really, really, really racking our brains. Bandits are not terrorists, are they? Imagine Sheikh Gumi saying that bandits are not terrorists and that bandits should not be prescribed as terrorists, that they should not be declared terrorists if we want peace to reign. Then I say, hell no. Okay, we know one piece. If that is the case, bandits are criminals. Bandits are those who have the capacity to bring down an aircraft twice. Bandits are those who have the capacity for the government to go negotiate. Anyway, let me not get ahead of myself here, people. Again, if you're joining me for the first time, kindly do the needful. When I say the needful, obviously you do understand what I mean. Let me quickly go to Arise Studio and invite them for this conversation. Invite them for this conversation. This is a very interesting conversation. I do hope that you're going to enjoy this conversation.
Well, let's begin what's trending with this story. In the aftermath of the recent police brutality witnessed during the one-year anniversary of the ANSAR's protests, victims are toeing the legal route to get.
Now, before, just for a start, we're just basically watering the ground. If you all recall, there was this guy during, about 5 days, no, today's 20, yeah, about 5 days ago. There was this during NSAS who was abused, by the Nigerian police. It appears that this guy is, he's basically didn't let that lie low. He has taken legal action. And legal action means he's now, I think, he's demanding half um $500 million naira, if my memory serves me right. Now, honestly, how much, no matter how much he is demanding, that is within well within his right. Now, to refresh our memories before we go further, I think this is the guy in question here. Remember him here. This guy is an Uber driver. When I say that, this is the level of abuse that happened in Nigeria that really gets everyone angry. And again, please, let's not in any way, shape, or form reduce this to ethnic jab, ethnic conversation, because this here could be you, it could be me, it could be your brother, it could be your father, it could be your mom, your sister, it could be any one of us. Hence, we must show solidarity and we must show our anger here. This is a man clearly heard here saying, I am an Uber driver. I am an Uber driver. Yet, you see, the policeman hit him again. This policeman, I see no reason why he should not be suspended now. because this was really, really unprovoked. Now, you can say that. At some point, you can see him grab his pepper spray, reddish pepper spray, and now this guy is saying, "Here is my app. I didn't do anything. I am an Uber driver. I didn't do anything. I am an Uber driver." Yet no one listened. And the following then happened. Now, at this moment in time, the policeman grabs the pepper spray. See, sprays it hard. Direct. So
I didn't do anything about this man. I didn't do anything on the Uber guy. I mean, I let me go. They're not Uber guy. I don't tell anybody for the go. I don't tell anybody for the go. You carry body for nothing. I don't carry this one. I got this to leave my elbow.
Now, at this point, I think, if you have any atom of humanity left in you, you must be visibly angry. Because this is not the way to police the people. A man was explaining to you. He wasn't aggressive, he wasn't angry, saying, "I am an Uber driver, I am an Uber driver." Multiple times did he say that, and yet you ignored that and pepper sprayed him. Careless of his name. For me, for all I care, he could be Adamu, he could be Sambo, he could be Adenuga, he could be Olatunji, he could be Ifanye, he could be Effiong. I care, honestly, less. What I care is that I see a fellow citizen whose right has been violated by those paid to protect him. That's all. That's all what matters. And to proceed with that story, then let me go back to our studio. Then obviously
Justice Adetotu Clement, an Uber driver that was assaulted by some officers of the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps, and the Nigerian police force is demanding the sum of 500 million naira as compensation for the gross violation of his fundamental rights to dignity of the human person, personal liberty and property, deprivation of his source of livelihood, and destruction of his vehicle. In addition to payment of monetary compensation, Clement is also demanding that disciplinary measures be taken against the officers who assaulted him, as well as a written apology from the state government. I mean, I think that a written apology is due really at this point. This was so horrific what happened to this young man. I mean, look at this assault by this police officer, especially. So uncalled for. He was clearly unarmed. And I think that justice should be served immediately. This is really horrendous what happened. Inibehe Effiong, who you guys interviewed on NSARS, they gave a stunning speech. I think we could just pull that up before, I can take your comment. If you can pull up Inibehe Effiong, who is actually his attorney on this case.
Nigeria is a lawless country. When you have a commissioner of police.
I am beginning to like this guy, Inibeme, I think. I'm beginning to like him. I think I'm going to reach out to him. I think I need to have a conversation with him on this platform. Because this guy, when I look at him, I see a younger version of Femi Falana and the Gani Fayemi put together. I believe and I pray for him that the fire in him and the vibrancy that he attaches to everything he does would not be extinguished by the evil perpetrators in the land.
Mr. Dosumo, when you have a CP who continuously goes on public record to tell people in Lagos State that he would not allow people to protest, and even had the audacity to say that he will only allow indoor gathering. And I heard the commissioner say that they are also human beings. We are all human beings, Dr. Batty. It is condemnable that some policemen lost their lives. But the commissioner has not acknowledged that 99 persons were killed and murdered in Lagos State during the protest, as stated by the state pathologists at the Lagos panel. 99. These people also have families. So the fact that policemen are human beings does not derogate from their obligation to enforce the law and respect the right of protesters. What the Commissioner of Police has said, the Commissioner of Information, sorry, is an indictment on the police, because he's saying that in essence, that the policemen are indisciplined. They are incapable of respecting the law. They are above the rule of law because they are human beings. This kind of excuse must not be tolerated in a democracy. And these policemen from the Commissioner of Police must be made to understand that this country fought for democracy. People lost their life to chase the military out of power. And we cannot have a Commissioner of Police that goes about as an emperor. And if the governor of Lagos State cannot bring him to a point where he will respect the rights of Lagosians, let Governor Sanwo-Olu write to the president, write to the Police Service Commission, write to the CP, and request for the redeployment of the Commissioner of Police. Until he has done that, Governor Sanwo-Olu must take responsibility for the violation of the rights of Lagosians, for the harassment of journalists, and the continued disdain for rule of law and democracy in Lagos State.
Well, in another development, a video making the rounds captured actor-comedian Debo Adedayo, popularly known as Mr. Macaroni, confronting police officers over an alleged extortion of a motorist. In the video, the motorist said he was made to transfer 30,000 naira to an account by the officers. Let's take a look.
You want to show him? You want to blow his head? Show all of them. See the apple. No, don't sorry. Anybody got get this on camera for me. They've collected money for me. Get them on camera for me. Let me carry on. Get them on camera. They collected. Do you have evidence for the transaction? Get them on camera for me. Get them on camera for me. Part of the corruption where we talk with that. That's part of the corruption. No, this man, leave him. This man like to show himself. Record him for me. He likes to show himself. Record him for me.
Tundu, I'll come to you for analysis on both stories.
What was I saying the other day? Plus ça change, plus c'est la même chose. Nothing has changed. It's so maddening that after so many died, businesses ruined, looted, so much destruction, nothing has changed. People are still being extorted by those paid to protect them. I talked earlier in the show about the Economist article and how I tend to take Western media's portrayals of Nigeria and Africa in general with a bucket load of salt. But this is a point that they made in that article, and it cannot be argued. You shared a story with us, OG, recently about Kogi State and a passenger being forced to an ATM, slapped. Nothing has changed. And about Inebehe Efyong Esquire doing what needs to be done, which is typical for him. He's always spot on about these issues. And his client, Adedotun Clement, there was no reason for him to be brutalized in that fashion. That man was not even a protester. And we actually thank God for his life, because you recall this time last year, there was a man who was not a protester, who was just an innocent bystander, and he was killed just standing on the street. That could have been Adedotun Clement's fate. Look at how they were manhandling him. They could have snapped his neck like a twig. Anything could have happened to him. Yes. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, prejudge a case, but for me, this is open and shut. The evidence here is compelling. Also, the way his car was vandalized. You'll recall that this gentleman was driving a passenger. In the melee, both of them got out of the car and ran. How did he end up in this state? Being bundled into a Black Maria like a common criminal. A Nigerian just going about his daily business, trying to earn a living, treated like this for no reason. And then the people who were found on this video to have treated him in this way were given 2 months suspension. It's offensive.
No, that was...
Well, the 2 months suspension, I think that's actually not from the police. the two most suspension, I think, is from the.
It is offensive.
Unacceptable.
2 months,
Lagos
2
State.
lousy months suspension.
Yes, his attorney is requesting that they be dismissed.
They have
Dr.
to be.
Abati. They have to be dismissed. This is unacceptable
There
behavior.
must be
Okay, well,
such.
big irony here. The main problem that led to that NSAS memorial was police brutality.
Exactly.
The abuse
And here
of
you have
uniform,
police brutality
the
again.
cruel manner in which those who have been classified as friends of the people, we hear that the police are supposed to be our friends. But part of the problem is that these policemen, they tend to behave more like an army of occupation on the streets of Nigeria. And specifically, the Economist story you were referring to, although we just isolated that part of it, that you may not be able to quarrel with it. This confirms what the Economist was saying about the police. The Economist says specifically that Nigerian policemen on the streets rob the same people that they are supposed to protect. And here you had a very good.
But it's not. But honestly, this is not an unfounded allegation. We have seen it here. On this platform, I've narrated how a friend who flew in from the Netherlands, from Amsterdam, on his way to the east, coming to Benin, Edo State, or Kada, is it Benin bypass or Kada bypass? Obviously, these guys stopped him, started going through his phone. Yes, he's married to a Dutch woman. They have what some would say mixed race child, or obviously, I mean that's the byproduct anyway. But and this guy started, looking at his phone. Got him under duress to open his phone and looked at his Facebook pages and leveled all sorts of allegations. But again, when you see about 6 men wielding gun, threatening you that they could kill you at any point and no one will know, they can actually say that you attacked them. Being smart as he was, again, he who fights and run away lives to fight another day. So what did he do? He obliged. And when he obliged them, he obviously they extorted, I think, about 200,000 from his account. And, the rest is history. And obviously he came out later and started, complaining to the authorities. But at least he came out alive. But here, if this was not captured on camera, if you do not have any camera evidence, any video evidence of this, I bet you with an arm and a leg that the police would have denied that they were ever at this scene, talk less of ever engaging the young man.
Example with regard to Dayo Adebayo, the comedian, engaging in citizen action. The young man in that latter part of the video had been asked to transfer money. And that's what happens on a regular basis. If you are arrested for one reason or the other, you are not even given the opportunity to defend yourself. You are asked to transfer money into the account of the police officers. And Mr. Macaroni, was there and he insisted that the money must be returned. And he was protesting. But how many Nigerians will have that courage to confront the police and be asking that you should get them on camera? He too could have been shot.
Yes.
Because Nigerian policemen will tell you they will waste you and nothing will happen. So this is a classic case of impunity. I hope that the police will pay attention to that, this video that is on the screen and identify those officers and ensure that they are sanctioned. The same thing for the maltreatment of the Clement guy, the Uber driver.
Yes.
As Tunu said, yes, when the tear gas canisters were fired, he had to run, he had to abandon his vehicle. By the time he came back, his vehicle had been taken, had been towed away. And he kept saying he was not part of it. The one famous part of that video was when they wanted to bundle him into the Black Maria.
Yes.
He kept saying no member of his family had ever entered this kind of vehicle. So you could, understand his anguish, his frustration. And look at it there. This uniformed men, they take the law into their hands. Even if a man has committed a traffic offense, it's not for you to give judgment, extrajudicially and ask that money be transferred. That fine,
what was the 30,000
that fine was not coming from a court of law. And even the road safety corps and the VIO office,
yes.
They have specific penalties.
these policemen, they will impose penalty. The man they were brutalizing, I mean, that's not under the laws of Nigeria.
No.
And that is why, in his own case, he has taken the appropriate step to ask his lawyer, his attorney, to write the Attorney General of Lagos State. And we hope that the Attorney General of Lagos State will take up the matter and try to address the specific demands, the specific prayers accordingly. But if he fails, of course, Inibeye Council, has said they will go to court. So what they've given is a notice of likely legal proceedings. But
yeah, but obviously, to be fair, I like that guy anyway.
And that's why also the demand 4 on the list of 5 demand talks about psychological evaluation of policemen.
Absolutely.
And Minister Lai Mohammed, when he was addressing the issue on October 20, said, well, the government of Nigeria has even taken the position that there should be psychological evaluation for serving policemen and also for new recruits.
Yes.
Because it looks like there is a category of policemen that has emerged in Nigeria that really needs to...
Sorry. At this point, we do not only need the policemen to be psychologically evaluated, all the ministers should also be psychologically evaluated, because some of them, what they spew, what they thought, what they say, you can only conclude that there are some things missing upstairs. You will see some of the videos when we get to that now. Just stay tuned here. You will see what I mean. So what some of them say, actually, they're not far from. It's just that there is verbal abuse that they give you and I, while the police engages in the physical abuse. Obviously, abuses.
Go to the shrink on a regular basis.
I'm glad you brought up the 5-point demand, because even point 5, which says that they have to review the salaries of the police officer,
That's number 5.
Number 5 is the one that has not even had any review at all.
And President Buhari ordered a review, and nothing has happened.
So you see, why would the police...
Yes, the president, ladies, please don't make me laugh. It's the President Buhari ordered the review. You guys are good comedians in that studio. Oh, President Buhari ordered the review. Oh dear. Don't worry. Don't let me go and invite Odumeje. This is not a question of somebody being lion or whatever. But let me invite you. This is
like a lion in the Zion. Iron like a lion in the Zion.
I can
want to extort money
that,
if they're going
to... is acting like a lion missing in the Zion because he's missing in action. Buhari is acting up like a lion missing in the Zion. That's Odumeje. I mean, come on. It's sometimes these things just get to you that you just basically find a way to just calm down, because it's
continue to live
insanity
under that type of conditions. I mean, I'm not making any excuses for them. And then you also raised a very valid point, which is the VIO offices. There's protocol. You go in there and you pay for your fine. I mean, you cannot extort money from people in Nigeria. It is unacceptable, really unacceptable. We'll take another story. The 2023 presidential...
Now, the 2023, let's come into something that is going to be very interesting here. The 2023 presidential election is coming. But before we even get there, Lai Mohammed, did I say Lai Mohammed or Lai Mohammed? I don't know, but Lai Mohammed. Is it Lai Mohammed? Hold on. Lai Mohammed, or Lai Mohammed? I don't know. Sometimes I get confused. I don't even know how to call him again. But he told us that bandits, before we get to 2023 Bruhaha, that bandits are not, sorry, before I misquote Lai Mohammed. Did I say Lai Mohammed? Sorry, before I quote Lai Mohammed. So let me bring him in to say to explain to us what he means by, I don't know. Lai Mohammed, come, tell us yourself.
Or criminals. It is because, number one, you talk about IPOB. IPOB is prescribed.
Prescribed, yes.
So to start with. And by law, they've been declared as terrorists.
Okay.
So also is Boko Haram. They are terrorists. Now, the difference between IPOB, Boko Haram on the one side, and bandits is that while both Boko Haram and IPOB are driven either by ideology or driven by a belief in that they don't be part of Nigeria. They have their own flags. They hoist their own flags. Bandits have no flags. Bandits are simple criminals. There's no difference between
So everyone, sorry, I don't know. I think it's time to go back using VPN. It appears these things happen so often that sometimes when you want to talk about some sensitive issues, it appears sometimes things go the way you don't plan them. I'm not insinuating anything. DSS, take note. I'm not accusing you guys, but I think many of you, I believe, heard what Lai Mohammed said. Obviously, if you agree with what he said, I don't know. But my good friend will say, Lai Mohammed, do you actually agree on what he just basically said? Now, do you want me to play?
when my 7-year-old grandson called me and said, "Grandpa, tell me the truth. Why did they call you Liar Mohammed?"
Okay. Even to a point, without accusing you, I am not the one. I'm not your grandson, but at least a 7-year-old grandson who probably have listened to what you just said now will think, Grandpa, Haba, Grandpa, Kilo Apple, Grandpa, Grandpa, Kilo Apple now. Why do you talk like that? Oh, dear, Nigeria, man. Sometimes you just basically look at things and you could virtually do nothing but just to shake your head. And you just shake your head and think, "Ooh, what's actually happening here, people?" Anyway, there is nothing else I can do. Let me get Odumeje to respond to him in that sense.
That's the weird people. When oil the Nobodono, an outside country, Abiaba ne bolo your own gene develop but onana wali mafia. Nasi ogugu. Oya canabo ignorant with idiocy.
See, Odumeje says it's ignorant with idiocy. Don't consult your dictionary because obviously it's going to be in the Oxford version of 2027. So don't ask me why, but that's what it's going to be. But when you look at it and you begin to ask yourself, why would we be, or rather, why is that it appears we are defending criminals? Why? Let me take us through this. So for many of us to understand what I mean, and I'm going to tell us what Sheikh Gumi, now I want to move away from the way papers reported it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to his Facebook page. You can see that here. And I want us to review this together. You would see what Sheikh Gumi himself wrote last night regarding the bandits. Okay? So join me in this expedition. Let's go. Sheikh Gumi, and by the way, when I ask many of you to subscribe, you think, many of you don't actually, you keep ignoring me. But look at Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi has 633 followers. I'm struggling to get to 50,000 on my Facebook, right? But Sheikh Gumi has over 500,000 people. Wake up. Huh? Wake up. Look here. It says, declaring bandits as terrorists will come with a price. That's Sheikh Gumi writing. It continues. Nobody doubts that the sentimentalism today overrides sensibility in our polity. For the sake of posterity, some people will have to speak out. That means, in this case, Sheikh Gumi has decided to speak out on behalf of the bandits. And he says, the acts the bandits are committing now in the Northwest have gradually, over time, become tantamount to terrorism because wherever innocent people are fatal victims, it's pure terrorism. Okay? It appears here he agreed, actually. He agreed that what they have done and the manner of their operation has nothing but qualified them to become terrorists. Yet, innocence these days is relative. We agreed in their children and their women are also killed. Of course, sometimes in reprisal attack when people get angry. They are guilty by association or collateral damage. So also the bandit may think the same way. It is right for vigilantes. Now, he's now accusing the state actors that it is right for vigilantes to lynch Fulani herdsmen or anyone that looks like them by profiling them wrong for herdsmen to ransack villages in retribution. Now, people, put on your thinking cap here. I want to tell us something. Now, here, he's talking about bandits and what they do in Northwest. Now, if you have a basic skill of content analysis, then you'll be wondering, how come someone who is talking about Northwest and bandit suddenly jumps into now it jumps into the lynching of herdsmen? And he didn't only say herdsmen, he qualified the herdsmen by saying Fulani herdsmen. Then stop for a moment. Gumi is talking about banditry. Suddenly, he talks about reprisal attacks. Rather than say reprisal attacks on the bandits, he says on the Fulani herdsmen. Invariably, what Sheikh Gumi has done with the first sentence of these, or rather the second paragraph of this essay, is to confirm that Fulani herdsmen equal bandit. These are not my words. DSS, take note. Content analysis here. These are the words of Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi is just saying here that these bandits that are committing these things in the Northwest gradually, whatever they are doing, in his words, he says, is tantamount to terrorism. Why? Because wherever innocent people are fatal victims, that is, when innocent victims are fatal victims, it's pure terrorism, in the words of Gumi. Isn't that bothering? But again, I would have expected Sheikh Gumi, who was in the army, I believe he got to the point of a colonel, so he shouldn't be an idiot. I think he's inadvertently probably schooled. I believe he should understand the consequences and the usage of words. Because if he wanted to stick to issues, he should have stuck to it. If he's using the words bandit, then you continue with bandit. But bringing banditry, replacing them interchangeably with Fulani herdsmen makes simple mathematics. 1 equals 1. The answer is yours. Okay? So, yet, again, Sheikh Gumi continues. The only helpful part that is against bandit is that no other than them are attracted to join them in the Northwest because of its ethnic ting and coloration. You see that? He started that bandits do something, suddenly says that when there is a reprisal attack, the Fulani headsmen are the victims, but when it comes to joining the banditry, it is only certain people by virtue of their religion and ethnic, in his words, see highlighted here, ethnic thing and coloration. Again, the same confirmation of what he's saying. However, the moment they are termed terrorists, okay, he's now making this argument that if they are termed terrorists, Islamic for that matter, the direction, the direct foreign jihadist movement will set in force. So his argument why he thinks that they should not be tagged terrorists is that if you do, foreigners will now come in. It's not going to only be about coloration, about in his words, what was that was he used again? In his words, I don't want to misquote anyone, because before you come with your legal uh, firepower, so I'm being careful to be able to defend myself anytime being called upon. So I'm not using my own words. I'm going to find, yes, exactly. So here, in his words, again, he says that in order for that to be attracted, for others to join them in the Northwest because of its ethnic thing and coloration. So he's talking about ethnicity here. So in that case, it means that the bandits have distinct ethnicity. That's what it means. The bandits are certain people in this country. Sadly so, but that's what it means. So now let's continue here, people. Shouting Allah, no, sorry. Where was it? Okay. And, again, he says that many teeming unemployed youth may find it palatable and attractive. Obviously, they're already doing that already. Shouting Allah Akbar plus AK-47 against a secular, immoral society where impunity reigns are the magnet for extremism and downtrodden. And I'm thinking, so you and I are now the society filthy and filled with immorality. Maybe because you are drinking your Gouda or you're drinking your hap, then because it becomes whatever you're doing is immoral, and therefore you have an army of people wanting to shout Allah Akbar plus AK-47. Again, I'm reading him against a secular, immoral society where impunity reigns. Impunity only reigns on the street and the beer parlors of Nigeria, but impunity does not reign within the security agents, and impunity does not reign within the presidency of Nigeria. There is no need to do Allah Akbar in the presidency and other places where impunity reigns. No, this impunity only reigns on the streets. Again, he says in his argument, this will give criminality, this will give criminality a spiritual cover and remove the stigma of discrediting them with such crime, since now the larger society as it is has the moral high ground to fight back. This is the most probable consequences, the price of which is not worth it. Nothing stops the kinetic action from going on without the controversy of semantics. So, what he's saying is that nothing stops the military from engaging with their usual bullet and guns and whatever they have, but that he is, in essence, against it. Now, this paragraph gets so interesting here. He says here, in the Northeast is already I highlight again for us. Northeast is already and is still devastated by madness for over 12 years. If we allow terror to set in into this raw, naive, unexposed bandits, Jesus. So the bandits that have the capacity, hold on. Let me clear my brain here. The bandits that have the capacity to shoot down an aircraft, the bandits that have the capacity to kidnap hundreds of school children from Kaduna, the bandits that have the capacity to demand and exchange gun that can bring down an aircraft and receive money from the presidency, suddenly, when you then prescribe them or when you call them terrorists, suddenly you expose them to what? So you're basically saying that what they are doing now, they are naive. If you then prescribe them, they would then be exposed. I mean, come on, this guy, this guy acts as a spokesperson of the government. This is absurd and unbelievable, because at some point you read some things, you think to yourself, if I did not know this page before now, and if I did not read this from his page, you might think, nah, this it couldn't have been possible that he said this rubbish. However, he now says here, if we allow terror to set into these raw, naive, unexposed bandits, now he's qualifying the bandits as raw, and that they are naive and they are unexposed. But he continues that Northwest will be in ruins sooner than later. Already, IPOP are destroying Southeast, and Iboho has set the ball of confusion rolling in the Southwest. For those who want to destroy the Northwest, it is good recipe. Turn bandits into religious zealots. Tell me what then remains of Nigeria. Interesting perspective. Then I ask, by the way IPOB is brought into the mix and the Boho, I said, okay, you're working probably to declare the Yoruba Nation group, whatever. You're working to declare them as terrorist group, and you have inadvertently declared IPOB as of the point of declaration that has not and was not known to have had gun or to have killed any soul at the point of declaration, emphasis mine. Now, if you just oppose the two and you begin to think about it, you just come to the conclusion that something is inadvertently wrong. Everything is wrong. Totally. Everything is wrong here. Because I cannot imagine that this man, that this level of atrocities and this level of damage and destruction is happening. And if they're saying that by the designation of as a terrorist group is going to give them the whatever, the military, the strength or whatever it gives them to go after them, but now saying and arguing for the bandit, in my mind, makes you a bandit, because it only takes one to know one. So you can go to Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Sheikh Gumi, Abubakar Mahmoud Gumi, and you read the whole thing for yourself. And when honestly, I wouldn't spend so much time again reading all of them, but when I went through this, I just kept asking myself, does it mean that this then makes sense?
Ex-Boko Haram stands having laid his arms and comes back, turns his way away from his negativity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to any position in this country.
Okay. So does that now begin to make sense? So what he's inadvertently saying, we basically do nothing, and because we do nothing, maybe at some point we might get to, I don't know. Honestly, I go read that yourself. You probably come out more confused and more um I don't know. I'm just trying to find the right word to qualify this, because this is absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. Okay, let me come back to this. Haven't seen this. Let me come back to this. Let's go back to something that is, now we are going to go back to the Arise team. They will be talking about the 2023 presidency. While on that, this video might make sense to you because of the content of what they said in that interview. But watch this. This is people being paid money, being paid their own money. I call this the pauperization of the masses. That was during I think that was during the lockdown. They're saying, go and wash your hands, go and wash your hands, I believe. And people are being given money. Then hear exactly what they were being told. You're not going to hear it from me, but hear yourself. Did you hear that? Non-negotiable. I wouldn't say it with my mouth, but here again. So what they are now saying is BAT for president. And now people are being given money in this way in the public. You may ask, for what? Why are people being given this money? You may ask, why are people being given this money? We don't know. For presidency to do what?
The police officer is the one.
That's number.
Let's
take a look. You cannot extort money from people in Nigeria. It is unacceptable, really unacceptable. We'll take another story. The 2023 presidential race is fast approaching. While many are debating who will become Nigeria's next president, supporters of the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibajo, have been seen to be pushing their agenda. James Faleke, a member of the House of Representatives, over the weekend called on the national leader to formally announce his presidential aspiration, while insisting that he is the right man.
Did you see that? You see, many of you who are Ndibo, you see that red cap there already. In the middle, you see, sorry, people, I begrudge no one. I begrudge no one. Before you misunderstand me, I begrudge no one. But isn't it funny that when people claim to be nationalists, they would never attempt to wear another person's attire until the election cycle comes? Many of you will know that when you, I'm not saying because I'm Igbo, but it appears that the Igbos are more liberal in terms of what they put on. If you look at the Minister of State for Education, he's almost like a replica. He's from Imo State, but it's almost like a replica of Abba Kyari. If you look at most times the governor of Ebonyi State, and if you look at the governor of Enugu State, you see them wear Agbada. But that which Ndibo is known for, you see politicians from the other side don't touch them unless election comes by. And that's why when I look at this and I say, man, Man, people got to shine your eye.
For the job because he fought corruption with technology and native intelligence in Lagos. Well, in the same vein, the Progressive Consolidation Group, a group in the All Progressives Congress, also called on the vice president to take up the mantle. Well, here's a video of the group chanting on the streets of Lagos to galvanize support for the vice president. Let's take a look. I mean, I thought it was quite cute to see this group of people, I mean, I don't know if it's the right thing to do at this point, but I mean, this is happening on the streets of Lagos. This group of people walking around trying to incentivize Nigerians to vote for the vice president, even though he hasn't come out to show that he wants to become president of Nigeria.
No, it's perfectly normal, natural in these climes, which is how you have politicians saying, the people have said I must contest. I didn't actually want to do it, but the people, it's the people. So this is what we have here. Yes. But I thought that was so funny from James Faleke, affiliative intelligence. I thought that was so funny. But I think, a lot of people have made much about Bola Tinubu's political, knack that he has. He has a natural talent, people say, for all things political. But I think it's really good to see the people who are interested throwing their hat in the ring. You have Bola Tinubu, you have the vice president, you have Pastor Tunde Bakare in today's, this day, all from the Southwest. I'm wondering where our Southeastern brothers are. Come forth, please. Although they haven't actually come forth, it's their support groups that are coming forth. And I find it really interesting to go back to James Faleke, that he talked about
Sorry, it's just that I wanted to stop Tundu there. I think that's a fallacy that so many of you keep driving. Now, neither Osibanjo nor Tinubu has officially on their own declared. Therefore, no one should be waiting for Ndebo or people from the Southeast to declare, because obviously none of these people have declared. So that their support groups are making noise. And obviously, when we look at something like this, when people, I don't know if this really represents what the person is going to be doing when he comes into power. Giving people just, I mean, this is humanizing. Maybe, I don't know, is it 100 naira or 200 naira that is equal? See? Then it says, see? TNF non-negotiable. TNF, I think. Tinubu for president. And it breaks my heart that even the younger ones appear not to also understand the consequences, and they do not see the tragedy in this video. It really hurts to see that the younger ones also do not see. See?
Corruption. Again, plus ça change. It was a huge election issue in 2015. And even though I completely, slated the way the Western media portrays Africa, I have to refer once again to that article in The Economist, which mentioned the fact that the sort of limitations in President Muhammadu Buhari's administration in their fight against anti-corruption, it's been such a damp squib. A lot of people have been disappointed with how that went. So it continues to be an election issue going into 2023. And that just speaks volumes to me. It's one of the cardinal principles of the change agenda. And we haven't haven't quite seen it. If we had, it would not be the talking point now. Security continues to be a talking point. What has changed there? The economy continues to be a talking point. I wish I could say what has changed there. We're much worse off. It's sad.
Dr. Abati, your analysis.
Well, Nigeria must be one of those few countries in the world where people are forced, blackmailed, pushed, cajoled, compelled, to run for public office.
Abati, I agree with you. That is the intrinsic nature of Nigerian state. And listening to you and having watched all this, I would think now I feel like joining this match. Maybe this is what is befitting to us. Let's all go join them, because it's just pure insanity. I mean, it's unbelievable.
In some other serious climes, when people are interested in a position, they will be the ones who will offer themselves for service. And, it's this disconnect that we have when people get into office. We have many people in public offices, elective positions, who behave like indeed they were not interested. They were just forced to come there. But I guess that's one of the low points, about the way we play politics in Nigeria. The other side of it, of course, is that some people will say, well, it's a strategy. But I guess going forward, it will be better. It will serve our purpose better if persons who are interested in the highest office in the land are the ones themselves who show that interest, who declare when the timetable for declaration or for the showing of interest is out there. I would hate to see a situation whereby in the future, someone will emerge as president, and the story we will hear, the standard excuse was, oh, I wasn't even interested. I was forced. I was pushed. Yeah. However, I've made that point to state that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not yet declared publicly that he wants to be president in 2023. But you have this.
Yeah, but Ruben, I will tell you that when the elders sit in the evening and with a sip of up wine, when a bird begins to rigmarole, the elders can actually, with a very clear precision, tell you which tree that bird is likely to perch on. I hope we understand it. So he hasn't declared, but with all the public efficacy, with all the public, abracadabra, we can tell you without equivocation, the three, all this dancing will end upon.
These groups, the way the drama is going, you end up having more support groups than the number of political parties in Nigeria. Because what the Tinubu support group did in Abuja was to set up steering committees in all the states of the federation. Before you know it, all these come and be president by force groups will be more than the political parties. Now, it's been said by another group that is promoting the national leader of the APC, that in fact within the party he should be given the offer of first refusal, because there is no other person within the APC that can challenge him. So that I find ironic. Is there something like that in the constitution of the All Progressives Congress? I do not know. Now, as for the vice president, yes, you have that progressive consolidation group. Those people dancing all over the streets of Lagos. Some people are not very busy. Now, but the vice president also has not openly declared. And the head of that group, the PCG, says, well, we want the vice president. He has not declared. He's not desperate to be president. But that their group was the first to be recognized by the All Progressives Congress as a group that has more or less nominated the vice president for the presidential position. However, in all of this, I think people should be reminded that it is the people of Nigeria that we choose who will lead them and who should be given the opportunity to vote in a free and fair, credible election process. And whoever is interested should come forward. James Faleke, who is representing Ikeja Federal Constituency, I don't think he's in a position to speak for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So people should moderate this their display of psychophancy, at a time when Nigeria needs to be serious about who leads this country in 2023.
The people are not serious. Honestly, when you look at it, the demography speaks volume. The demography has the youth, that's 35 and below, over 60-something% of the population. So that means if they want, they can decide. They can decide the fate of, but again, they would inadvertently or eventually even use their vote and give it to the same oppressors. Sometimes I try to make sense as to why things are the way they are. Why is it that Nigerians appear to love their oppressors? Those that run you off the street with their convoy, but with your own money. Those that abuse you with a police officer paid with your own tax. The tax that you pay. Someone collects it. Someone abuses you with your own money. Some would even, blame foreign powers like what's his name again? Mustafa. In one of the videos that I came across recently, where he was actually trying to talk about the things Abacha probably was doing and as it concerned Nigeria. I thought to myself, okay, maybe we'll share this and let's have your view on it.
Busy building up machineries that was to work in containing crisis for Nigeria. We were privileged working with him since Army headquarters to know that since 1972, Nigeria was 12 years old as an independent state. With the discovery of oil and with the performance of General Gawan then as head of state, some certain forces came together and said, it will be disheartening to see us serve this same former colony of ours as now subordinates. That was why at that material time, a new program came up on how to dwarf Nigeria. And I challenge the academia, I challenge patriots, I challenge leaders to go and search for that document and look at the arrangements of dividing Nigeria, creating crisis in Nigeria, creating differences between Muslims and Christians, creating differences between northerners and southerners, creating differences in Nigeria that will dwarf us. And where such things refuse to work, courses of insurgency should be invested upon and be promoted so that Nigeria should remain dwarfed and never to grow. The fear is allow this country to be. We will all be there as subordinates working for them. And no black man should be seen, particularly West Africa and Nigeria, as a subject should be allowed to grow. It's a challenge to the academia, a challenge to the younger ones, a challenge to all patriots and all leaders, old and young, to understand that there is a game that will never allow us to grow. We will be fighting ourselves while they are busy taking what we have. These are some of the things General Abacha went against. And he became an enemy to that group outside and to their cronies in Nigeria. Some of them are highly respected elder statesmen. To me, I have seen all what persecution is all about. There is no fear. If you like, carry on tomorrow and chase me out. But remember, you did it 15 years ago while I was in incarceration. Today I'm free.
When I sit down here and listen to this level of, I don't know if I will call it conspiracy theories. I don't know. Honestly, I do not know how to qualify them. But what I am getting at here is when I look at this man blabbing, and that's what he was. There are people out there who doesn't want us to succeed. There are people, promoting this amber of hatred. I'm like, how did all this madness start? So there were people outside Nigeria, and you all knew this. People outside Nigeria were telling herdsmen to go into farmland. People outside Nigeria were killing in the middle belt and replacing and taking their farmlands and, running people out of their houses and living in their houses. Honestly, sometimes I'm really, really short of words because you're here saying something like this. You want us to believe what you're saying, then that you do not have any you do not have any plans of how to stop this. Then you turn around and blame people when they say, okay, enough. Since you appear not to find solutions, ask us if we want to stay, then we can tell you a piece of our mind. We don't want to stay, we want to go. Ask us if you want to stay in an election or in whatever referendum, plebiscite, whatever it is, you can still not do it. You can't move forward. You can't move backwards. You can't move sideways. You just want to remain there. People, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense because even if I go back to the archives and bring in General Sani Abacha in this conversation, you will still see his own view regarding the misgovernance or the maladministration, where again he goes back and pins the same. Well, in his own case, he didn't blame foreigners, basically. In Abacha's case, Abacha actually pinned it on the foot of politicians, I call them, without apology. Let's listen.
Have no root in our national psyche. They are not in our character.
We are committed, we are sincere, and we will do everything possible. But you know exactly what we went through in this nation. You know the basis and the reason why even in 1992, about how many, is it 13 or 23 presidential aspirants had to be disqualified. And we knew exactly what happened in 1993 when, what happened when even the election had to be cancelled and so on. So what we have done is to take necessary measures to ensure that some of these incidents are avoided. But at the same time, the transition program is for the nation, but the major players in the transition program are the politicians themselves. So the politicians themselves will have to come and bury their differences. Will have to play politics the way it is, not politics of animosity, not politics of religious or ethnic, sentiments or anything, no matter how devastating to the unity and stability of the nation. Once it favors that individual politician, he is ready to exploit it at the expense and at the cost of the unity or stability of the nation. So what we have done is clear, it's simple, it's straightforward, and it's step by step. But I tell you, we know we are all Nigerians. The politicians themselves, it's a big challenge on them. They need a change of attitude, a change of mind for them to come and play responsible politics. And that's why even as far as rotation is concerned, as far as power sharing is concerned, which is the main issue in the politics of this country, we took the pain to go into detail and divide this nation into 6. So the question of majority, the question of minority is absolutely immaterial. It's question of quality. It's question of the individual Nigerian who possesses the right leadership, who possesses the right quality. That is the issue. So the question of marginalization is completely out of it, is absolutely addressed. So there is no section of this country that will claim to be marginalized as far as the present system is concerned. So the issue of marginalization is out. The issue of sharing or involvement in power in this nation is out. And all these things, we took upon account of our past experiences as far as the political evolution of this nation is concerned. And we believe and we pray what we have done is something which is enduring, which will reinforce the peace, the stability, the unity and the understanding of this nation, and which will form the basis of a stronger, a sounder democratic system for this nation.
I don't know about you. I have taken time to listen to El Mustafa many times, but my point of departure with El Mustafa, whom I have once invited to interview him here because I want to have these these facts. You know, I haven't read up a couple of things. I just need to clear them off my head. But my point of departure with him is always when he tries justifying that the benevolent ancestor, whom since his death keeps returning money from the land of the ancestors, aka from the land of Obodoyibo, every time this money keeps returning, and these are unending monies. And if I just oppose it to El Mustafa trying to actually justify that Abacha never stole, and I'm like, was he keeping that money for who? But if you put that aside, I think Abacha was somewhat demonized because he was a military man. Maybe because we didn't have we haven't tested what we are testing now. We thought Abacha was bad. But listening to Abacha, if you have to judge Abacha by this video and action, you know that Abacha is sounder and much probably better than I didn't mention them, DSS Take Note. Please. I have no comparison. But it means Abacha is actually, you know, it's just look at Abacha. Listen, you know, Abacha created the 6th geographical zone when he called the politicians together, the 6th geographical zone. And I know Nigeria, an ethnic nationality, a nation that is more than 250 ethnic groups. No matter how you dice it, there is, you know, you're still not going to get it right entirely. But at least you cannot begrudge him, at least for attempting to make effort. The danger we have now is that the ones we have now, is it the left ear or the right ear that I heard that London still not able to unplug? This government, something is blocking one of the ears. When people will march on the street with flag, I mean, what can you say? If Lai Mohammed will say that these people, because when you carry flag, you are a terrorist. Eh? When you carry whatever, you are, you know, if you don't carry flag, then you're not. Man, Nigeria, you know, there are some things when you learn them, you keep asking yourself, wow. So why is it that it's now that I'm actually learning about these things? Eh? Ogalai Mohammed will tell us that bandits. Before I continue with that, but let me get Galai Mohammed in to actually do this definition for us.
Everybody, you know, seen as
now. This question is about why can't you proscribe bandits as terrorists? Okay, so but now this is his response again.
To say,
well, I think it's a bit. We have to be very careful in how we, how we use nomenclature. Why would some people be described as terrorists and others as bandits or criminals? It is because number one, you talk about IPOB. IPOB is prescribed.
Prescribed, yes.
So to start with, and by law they've been declared as terrorists.
Okay.
So also it's Boko Haram. They are terrorists. Now, the difference between IPOB, Boko Haram on the one side and bandits is that while both Boko Haram and IPOB are driven either by ideology or driven by a belief in that they don't be part of Nigeria. They have their own flags. They hoist their own flags.
So you've had it. My people of Omodua, you had it. If you don't want to be declared terrorist group, stop taking your flag. I mean, this is
bandits have no flags. Bandits are simple criminals. There's no difference to
Hishbab. They have flag, eh? What are they?
Between bandits and other types of criminals, except in terms of of their ferocity. So,
except in terms of their what, Oga? Odumoje must hear this. Except in terms
ferocity. So this is the problem. This is the issue about nomenclature. When you declare somebody terrorist or just criminals, terrorists have political connotation, because when a person or a group says would not believe in the sovereignty of Nigeria, the bandits have never said they don't believe in the sovereignty.
Okay, do you need them to say it? But when somebody has the ability to shoot down aircraft bought with Nigerian money, threatening the territorial integrity of the nation by Ogalaye
of Nigeria, they are just pure criminals. And when you look at the history of banditry in Nigeria, it dates back to 1891. So it's not something, it's something that we have been managing over time.
Odumeje, I think Odumeje come. I think we need the extra power. We need. If you know that power, Odumeje come, please. If you know that power you haven't used, I need you to come, because this water has passed. Guys.
I have so many power. Le baduse play lamante. I have Abido Shaker. I have never touched those ones. I have Dabus Kabach. Yes, I have Ganduka Gandusa. Mbeg Iwalonios.
Odumeje, give me that Ganduje. Let me be going to Kano, because I think that Ganduje power is what I need here. How can I be sitting down here and somebody obviously is telling me that these things that I had now is not honestly, I don't know what to say. That these things that I had now, I don't know what to call them, but yourself, tell me what you've just said.
When my 7-year-old grandson called me and said, "Grandpa, tell me the truth. Why did they call you Liar Mohammed?"
I didn't call it yourself. Your grandson basically called you. Whatever your grandson called you, it appears that's what everyone who is watching me now globally actually thinks of you. That's what it is, not me. Because oh, Jesus Christ. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, people. But some of you are saying that I should make screenshot of what Shegumi did, posted online before he deletes them. But if he deletes them, who cares? I mean, we've read it. It's been archived. And these things are already there. It's already in the public fora. It's but people, if we are a serious nation, do you think, that's my question to you, and that will form my concluding part this evening. My question to you is, do you think if Nigeria was functioning, capturing these men on camera, sharing money for a Tinubu president, should they not be questioned by the police? Watch again.
Go wash your hands. Wash your hands next time. Wash your hands because of non-negotiable. Wash your hands clean.
Now, I don't know if we have lawyers in the house who are watching me. Now, tell me, do you think this is not a criminal offense? If we have lawyers watching me now, do you think this is not a criminal offense? Should this not be investigated? But again, on the other side, I would say, didn't we have, at the eve of an election, bullion vans that weren't delivering pure water or red wines or, palm wines? We are seen coming out of certain houses And eventually the owner and the occupant of that house actually came out and said, yes, this bullion van, they came in. Yes, they came with some quote unquote money, and this belonged to me. And so what? But EFCC was never engaged. Nobody was engaged. And today, the case is finito. In this country, we were told in Ikoyi apartments that lockers filled with dollars were found in Ikoyi apartment. People, do you know the conclusion of that story till now? Getting to 6 years. In this same country, a former top official of NNPC in the person of Yakubu, I think in Kaduna, had monies running into thousands of dollars stacked in a warehouse where they have air conditions in there, in a very ramshackle environment. 4 years later, sadly, the guy in question is dead. Do we know what happened? In this same country, we saw a former chief of army staff in the person of Bade killed in his farm. We were told that there were some issues with procurement of military equipment. See, today, people, has anything been done? You know, some of us take offense when some people say that Nigeria is a crime scene from A to Z. In the words of Buhari, you know, he will say that Nigeria is a crime scene from top to bottom. Crime scene mine, top to bottom. His. Honestly.
APC from top to bottom. Top to bottom. Top to bottom.
You know, when they were campaigning, we didn't know we were on top. 2014, many of you, we didn't know we were at the top. Dollar was 168, eventually got to 172, eventually got to 192. Before the election, it was 202, but they were campaigning at 216. Today, you must be a criminal to ask somebody how much did they sell dollar. We never knew as of that time that we were at the top. But we went from
top to bottom.
So we actually gone from tough to bottom.
Top to bottom.
We have gone from tough to bottom. Tough to bottom. You are watching all these things now. This is I've forgotten the year, 2021, is it? And if they ask you, do you want to rewind these things? You may wish to rewind them. There comes 2023 now. Our mumu, in the words of Charlie Boy, will not be enough. Our mumu will not be enough. What then do? We will also mumuishly probably replicate the same thing. Mumuishly replicate the same thing we have done in 2015. If I get Charlie Boy Oputa, the area father, to speak to us for a moment, well, let's see what he has to say.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, I see differently about holding on to the slogan, One Nigeria. What does that mean? Sometimes I feel like I'm knocking my head against the wall. Why are my people so arrogantly ignorant? Yeah, why? Why they be me like say they are mumuna follow come? I'm getting tired of holding on to this one Nigeria dream. You know, they make sense to me again. Yeah, many youths today don't even believe in the future of the shithole. Many have given up. Those who have the opportunity, then they jack out, living in thousands, living this hellhole. Being good or doing good, it's so anti-social. Many of us are like crabs in the bucket, pulling good things down because many now believe that anything, everything, and everybody is bad. And so must be brought down, pull them down, who them be? Demonic forces at work. Many believe that everybody is a criminal. I still believe that there are a few good people, good, honest people in Nigeria. They may be, I don't know, but they're there. I know there are good and bad people everywhere. But the bad people, the riffraffs, people from the gutter, born throwaway, stray cats, idiots, betrayers, have taken over our space. Yes, that's what's happening. It's systematic. The few good men has gone into Hadia. In Nigeria, they want us to believe that most Yorubas are here and nowhere. They're slippery, they're deceitful. The Fulanese think they were born to rule, even with their incompetence and their cluelessness. They want us to believe that most Igbos turn everything into a transaction. For money, they will kill themselves. They like to fix other people's environment, neglecting their homeland, the core of their existence. What kind of bullshit is that? Now, let's be sincere. You see this contraction called Nigeria? It's not working. Because the rulers have succeeded in fragmenting us. Yes, they've divided us. The impression is that the Yorubas are deceitful. They also are Fulanese. They just want to dominate. The Igbos are tricky, cunning. You know, all they want is money, 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 money. They do everything for money. The minority tribes, they're all marginalized. I mean, government magic. But let me say this. Among all the tribes, the Igbos have carried this imaginary one Nigeria on their head the most. Yes, quote me. Today, if we can tell ourselves the truth, we must all agree that the only way to move forward as a unit, as a nation, as a country, is by restructuring. Every region should fend for themselves and pay taxes to the center. That's what I say. Therefore, I, Charlie Bone, Chukwuemeka Oputa, Jodurubariba, one of Africa, the president of all frustrated Nigeria, have resolved to advising everybody, go back to your region and let's start to build from the inside out. Your house no go be like poto poto. You won't come out outside to the dengue, the pose, can they talk nonsense, can they deceive people? Go back to your region and make it work. From your local government chairman to the state. Yeah, let's all go back. I'm going home to the southeast to tear my heart out and to work tirelessly to help to build a home I can be proud of. And let anyone come and tell me they want to ruralize my region. But when you sit there, listen, we need a mental revolution. Not all this papanyanya. Sometimes they be me saying like una mumu na follow come. Say, oh.
You see, that's Charlie Boy Oputa, aka Area Father. And I say, I agree with this message wholeheartedly. We must look inward. You know, trying to build a very big gargantuan thing without really getting back to our root and looking at the nitty-gritties where regions worked and where region I believe will be the center of what we have to do. But having said that, I know that after this program, many of you normally, when I say these things, many of you normally come in box and ask me, what about the minorities? It is because of these minority questions that led to Abacha himself. You've watched the video before now. I played the video here. That led Abacha agreeing to the 6 geographical zone structure. 6 geographical zone. You know what that meant was, yes, in each zone, you with the exception of 2 zones, which is the the southwest and the southeast, where you have a homogeneous people, where you have a whole culturally that have evolved over time to say that they are one people. Every other region is a mixture. You visit the northeast, you obviously have the Hausas, you have the Mumuyes, you have the Fulanis, you have a whole bunch, you have the Kenuris. So you have a whole bunch of people. But many of us actually ignorantly lump everyone. Oh, they are Hausas. Oh, they are the Northerners. No. When the way we have, our own differences here, Ijo, Efik, Igbo, Kalabali, whatever we all have here, they also have it there. Hence, I think sometimes, honestly, when I listen to Sani Abacha, just opposing him now to what we have today, I think Sani Abacha wasn't that daft. He wasn't daft. He was smart to some extent until he gets to when he has to do with money. Then you begin to wonder, why do we still have monies being repatriated by a dead ancestor? But some actually argue, myself included, maybe sometimes funny enough, to say, well, he's a benevolent ancestor. He knows whenever we are broke. Because whenever we are broke to a point of not being able to pay teacher salary, the next thing we hear, BBC breaking news. 350 million will be repatriated to Nigeria, Abacha loot. I say, ancestor, where they beyond, where they grave, they send us a lot. Anytime where we broke, a lot to go show. You go here, bagam. So you get a lot where they cure malaria. You get some kind of lot where go enter your phone like this. Wallahi, malaria go run. Say no be joke I did. Honestly, like I said, when I look at all these things, I think there are a couple of places Nigeria is getting it wrong, and that will be my conclusion. Nigeria is getting it wrong, and my proposition for the unperturbed time is: this government must, as a matter of urgency, begin to engage the people. Yes, the people are not happy, but not being happy doesn't make the people criminals. It's only when you engage the people, you begin to ask them the question, what is actually the essence of their agitation? Like I keep saying, at the heart of every agitation lies injustice. Whether perceived or otherwise, that is irrelevant. What's relevant here is that you sit down. If explanation ought to be made, I think I told a friend, I said, one thing people don't know with power, and obviously, unless it has happened to you, when you see people only on the on the TV, you don't understand this. But if you come close to power, and I mean someone who wields power, there is all these agitators, all the leaders of the agitators, none of them would ever go to the president on the invitation of the president and sit down to discuss genuinely what they are aggrieved about. None of them will walk out of that meeting remaining the same without them being touched somewhat, and they begin to rethink if genuine engagement are offered. But here, sadly, if you are from certain regions, obviously, no, it doesn't. Why would they? Why would they? There is no reason to talk to IFAB. IFAB, there is no reason. You think we adopted people for nothing? I mean, these are not the names we chose to. Spare parts dealers. It's not by our making, but these are things given to you because as a result of perception, perception, perception. And we still think that you can make progress in the 21st century by applying thinking and techniques of medieval time. Isn't it funny and silly that at the same time you have a nation divided, split into two? Some are saying do ranching, some are saying no, if you do ranching is against us. And you think to yourself, how could you ever in this world make progress with that level of division and mindset? Does it matter who owns the cow? Rather, if you're trying to bring in a change, if you're trying to bring in something just to help assuage the fears and the feelings of your people who feel that things are not actually working right. Obin Ifa, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you very much. Um, some of you have just gone on the comment section. Some of you have just gone speaking German. Chinwe, wo wohnst du? Ich bin doch in Anambra. Keine Antwort. Nein. Doch, habe ich eben gesagt. So, Obinna, thank you very much for that super chat. So, the bottom line is some of us might actually disagree with me, say, oh, that many of us like to talk. But again, talking is a form of engagement because, some Patrick Obiabon says it's better to engage in Georgia than in war. In his famous phrase, he says to avoid physical parakboism. I mean, obviously, every one of us know what he means by that. So the bottom line is that things, as Charlie Boy said, is not working. We must begin to demand that things work differently. Again, realistically here, sadly again, where many might also want to disagree, that it might not entirely be as quick as we may wish. There is reason to sometimes apply, I mean, we are fast, obviously. If you remember the first coup that happened 5 years after independence, Mazi Ntodonk Ras. Oh, thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much, brothers. Wow. This evening, some of you are, is it end of the month? Are you guys paying tithe? Oh, actually, that's true. That's end of the month. Now I know what's happening. You guys are paying tithe. Prince Terry, du bist in Cologne. Ah, na gut. Ich werde euch bald besuchen, ne? Ken Riba says talking is a primitive way of communication, but it doesn't. No, I disagree vehemently. I don't know if talking is a primitive way of communication. Ken Riba, now tell me, how do you communicate in the other room? Henry, tell me, talking is a primitive way of communication, yet you communicate in the other room. Then you say, text your account number. Of course, we can. Ninja Media has a Nigerian account number. We can always provide that to you. That's not an issue. So, can we say, I've defeated your argument? You're saying, you want to communicate in the other room. In the other room. Okay, hold on. Even Chinua Achebe, even late Chinua Achebe, he knows it, that the act of communication, the challenge we have. And again, you see, Then Z, see in the comment section, you can see the account number there, right? Now, even the reason why you see a lot of agitation in this during this government is because of lack of communication. Because this government, if there is anything they are not doing at all, if there is anything they are so bad in doing, it's communication, especially the head of the government. Sometimes you might also disagree with me on the following that I want to say. If we all recall, when Osibanjo, when Buhari was sick and Osibanjo was the acting president then, you saw how he moved quickly. He started going to the Niger Delta. He started engaging with the people, letting the people know that they know what they are going through. You saw how Osibanjo started engaging, speaking to people. This is not campaign. This is meeting those you're supposed to be governing. What happened? Suddenly, I still recall this conversation with my good friend from Plateau State. Yes, a Fulani, but from Plateau. Well, yeah, Plateau. Now, he accused me because I wrote an article. I wrote an article titled How to Be a President. So he attacked me that I was commending Osibajo for the things he did at that point. Hear this. He says that Igbos are wicked. Now, an article written by me is being equated with Igbo, that Igbos are wicked. Why are you supporting Osibajo? I said, I'm not supporting Osibajo. I'm just saying, based on fact. You all saw how DSS invaded the National Assembly. And that's what you expect of a president. Within a within a reasonable time frame, you get on there, you do the needful, and kick some asses. Yes, Daura was fired. Many of us think that was the right thing to do. To tomorrow, I believe that was the right thing to do because that shouldn't have happened. Well, Subajo to be the president, there are some of these atrocities you see happening, obviously, because now many say he's been caged, many say he's missing in action. I genuinely think because of the way Nigeria plays politics, Osibajo cannot say some of the things he thinks, some of the, before he can be misconstrued. Even now, it's laughable to think that a Tinubu might become Nigerian president and not him. You ask yourself, where is competence in all these things we talk about? Sorry, it will be an aberration and an insult to compare Osibanjo intellectually and otherwise in the same sentence with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can log off if you want, but that's my genuine statement. So, having said that, you understand that the way things work in Nigeria and why people keep agitating the way they keep agitating, not because Mr. A hates Mr. B or Mr. C hates Mr. D. No, it is because of the incompetence of the government and its own security agencies to one, timely, dispassionately deal with crime. And as a result of government failing to do this, that's what then leads to some say whataboutism. You hear something like farmer header clash. I said that's fraud. That's fraud because it does not exist. I keep saying it. There is nothing like farmer header clash. Anytime I read a statement and I see farmer header clash, I say, yeah, what a nice cliche. Just to hoodwink some ignoramus, basically. There is absolute, it's just like saying, how do I put that now? How do I put that? farmer-header clash. How do I put that? Just like saying that petrol station attendants are destroying what's it called tankers. If tankers actually if they fail break destroy the stuff, there is no comparison, because you can only take cows who are not the cows that are not controlled to get into farmlands to cause havoc and to cause trouble. And if that be the case, why then would we, you and I, everybody watching me, why then do we have to accept farmer header clash? Since it's a fallacy and it's a lie. It is herdsmen invading farmland. That's the name of that crime, and that should be the way it should be described. Herdsmen invasion of farmland. Because if there were no herdsmen invading farmland, there wouldn't be any conflict with the farmer. If it is farmer clash, communal clash, yes. But whenever herdsmen comes into it, somebody is trying to fry akara with our brain, and that belief is not correct. So people haven't said that this evening. I will conclude by saying that, when you hear that Tinubu fought corruption as the House of Rep wanted us to believe, I would then ask, well, in the words of Bode George, I would then ask, tell us how that was done with Alpha Butter. Again, I'm quoting Bode George, not me. DSS, take note. Disclaimer. Okay, disclaimer here. But it's Nigeria is just it's such a place where these things are not really, no one really looks at them so deep. You talk about Tinubu fighting corruption. I'm like, yeah. I can tell you how many people who they have 3 children, but they are still virgins. Yes, I know a couple of them. They are still virgins. They are nwata nwaanyị na-amaghị nwoke. They don't sleep in Zaza room, nothing. And if I leave that as part of my conversation and come back to trying to conclude here with that the bandits are not terrorists, that we shouldn't prescribe them, and I'm like, okay, Ogalai Mohammed, you've never. Anyway, what will I say? You're living up to your name. So even when your grandson thinks that that's correct, but you obviously you have every right. You've said that's not correct, and I am not here to argue with you and your grandson. I leave it at that. So whatever your grandson says, I think, pardon me, that I might actually agree with him, because sometimes you look at things in Nigeria, you might actually get so confused that you begin to turn like this man. I wonder who he was saluting. But don't be surprised, in the next couple of years, the man who couldn't find his left from the right might be your new controller general. And someone said, Mazi, why are you so scared of this government? Well, I'm not scared of the government. You can see my face. I'm only doing my journalistic work to be as factual as I can. Because you asking me that question on YouTube, you're not even with your real name, but at least here I have a face, I have a name. So it is always easy to hide behind the keyboard and spew things that probably once called upon in the court of law. You may not be able to defend yourself. On that note, people, I say, Odumeje, come and tell the people good night. Tell them the powers that we have. People, join me tomorrow, 5 o'clock, as I will be interviewing Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor on the meeting he had today and the meeting he will be having tomorrow morning with Mazen Kanu. And we will be talking about the no election, or rather the election boycott in Anambra. And I would also ask him questions on what he thinks or what his client is actually, because there appears to be a lot of confusion everywhere. I want to know what his client actually has instructed his people or his followers to do in this case. At the same time, our conversation would also center around the comments that we have all seen Malami, the Attorney General of the Federation, Malami, made. On that note, I will say thank you once more for being part of this conversation this evening. It's been my pleasure, and I thank every one of you, especially those that supported what we are doing. I had Maziobi Ntodonke and also Obinna Ifacho. Thank you all for being part of this. Thank you once more, and good night.
I have so many power. Le Baduse play Lamante. I have Abido Sheka. I have never touched those ones. I have Dabus Kabach. Yes. I have Ganduka Gandusa. Mbeg Iwalonios.